Do you want your business to grow? Do you want the access to global network? Gain the business and investment opportunities. Build lasting business friendships and strategic partnerships. Become a member of CEO Club's network and prepare your business for an amazing change. CEO Club's network is the most effective business platform for CEOs and decision makers to share experiences, explore opportunities, and grow business connections locally and internationally. What do we do for our members? We organize monthly business events with a strong focus on networking. Get exposures and recognitions as we serve members with a wide range of benefits. Members can take part in industry-specific panel discussions, roundtables, lunch meetings, breakfast meetings, awards nights, gala dinners, and other informal gatherings, like cigar nights or high teas. Through our unique CEO Club's mobile app, we help our members to connect with powerful business figures, community leaders, and government officials in selected countries worldwide. So, if you are looking for a multicultural atmosphere, strong networking platform, and millions of B2B connections, CEO Club's network is the right place for you. Powerful global brand and network for decades. More than 50 awards received globally. The knowledge with experience makes the difference. Join CEO Clubs and be part of the whole new world of prestige and pride.
I'd like to welcome to CEO Club webinar. Today's webinar is on members initiative and knowledge sharing. As you all know, CEO Club, which is the largest business organization, is like to stay close to our CEOs and would like to share the guidance and best practices to help each of you driving your business through this current crisis that the whole world is going through. In today's webinar, we will have 3 valued CEO Club members and experts who will share their insight about following topics. We will have a topic on digital marketing, the new normal in the face of collateral financing. We'll have a topic of from S3K is a rising star in the security and cybersecurity domain, which is very important nowadays. And the third subject we will be having on sharing insight solution from an education point of view from seats up. So there will be 3 different topics from 3 different speakers we have today. So I would like to request all the participants that please, if you have any questions with today's speakers, please do write on a chat box, and we will have the opportunity at the end of the session to answer any question if you have. But I will encourage everyone to ask question with any panelists and speakers today we have. And like I say, we have 3 different speakers, but I would invite first our topic on a topic, a rising star in the security and cybersecurity domain. I will request Mr. Pietro Polidoro. He's the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of S3K. Let me brief about his profile. He's responsible for the international relationship and business development. Since June 6th, he's also covering an advisor position of Metric Space, a US-based company operation in AI, very important, intelligent machine domains, and in 1995 till 2020, in IDT Inc., which is a US-based semiconductor company, world market leader in many specific SC technologies. Since January 2006, he has been responsible for all EMEA area as the Vice President and Managing Director. Prior to that, in 2002 to 2006, he had been covered the role of Director of European Sales. Despite his inner passion for history and philosophy, and his background, education studies have always been a technical domain. and he's an industrial electronic and computer science. And recently, he has successfully completed an artificial intelligence seminar held by the MIT Sloan School of Management. Very interesting. Artificial intelligence is this is what the future is all about. I think we'll hear a lot of them. So I will hand over to Mr. Pietro for your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I wanted to, I'm just trying to see the slides and will come up. Here we go. So I wanted to start with a news that came up actually a couple of weeks ago. And this was a poster from the BBC. Fundamentally, the news was about a very, very sad circumstance, whereas there was a hack made at the Düsseldorf University Hospital, which prevented access to key data, and as such, a treatment which was due to a patient had to be eventually replanned as quickly as possible in another hospital, Wuppertal, which is about 19 miles away. But unfortunately, the patient died during the transfer. If confirmed, this would be the first known case of life being lost as a result of the cyber attack. And I wanted to start with this because this is fundamentally who we are and what we do. S3K is a company which has in the vision the possibility to work with customers and partners in what we call a security by design. So the idea is to give you an update about who we are, what we do, what are our key focus area, and what is our target portfolio of elements available on demand, but in particular services and solutions, and how we position ourselves as a full solution provider. I will mention a couple of use cases, and I also want to touch our go-to-market model, which is unique. We think we cover an area which nobody else covers in the same way, and not to forget our activities ongoing on the labs and on our academy with a summary of it. In a nutshell, S3K, born out of the gap which was evident in the Italian market, coming from the NIS directive, which clearly provide strong, let me call them suggestions, about what to do in order to secure the network and information systems, is in particular for essential operators or essential services. We spoke about an hospital earlier. And on the other side, we had these services, these requirements covered by either large multinational companies with a lot of bandwidth, but not all the times with all the skills required on a vertical basis, or by small size players which had terrific competencies, but clearly not the ability to scale. So S3K decided to intercept this position, and we created the company by looking at initially with a consortium of 18 companies which belong to this consortium today, but we have started to take 10 of this company, and we created a cube, as you can tell, where we are able to offer the competencies of all of them as a unique company. The company is going through a very interesting journey. We have a unique model made of platform aggregation, officially founded on July 2019 as S3K, by these companies do exist for over 15 or 20 years. So we have gone through the foundation. As you see, we are now closing the first round of private equity investment, and the education is toward the execution plan is already ongoing, and you will see later on when I speak about the academy is and will continue to remain a fundamental pillar of our development over time. And last but not least, the plan is to go through IPO. We are already operating with about 500 employees as of today, with products and services that covers the entire NIS security specifics. And we have already running engagement, significant engagement with blue chips and over 600 customers as I'm speaking to you. Our revenue at the end of 2019 was 64 million euros with an EBITDA of 10.6. And needless to say, we plan to grow. I will touch base about it later on, but our ambition is to grow this number by more or less 10x in the next 4 to 5 years. So there is a significant growth model which will be based on a mix between organic growth as well as through acquisitions. This is the model. So below the board and the president, I report to the CEO. So I'm in charge of all the sales and marketing activities, both at national as well as at international level. One of our strategic activity is to start to prepare the ground for international expansion. And these, of course, will likely be done with the identification of companies which fit our criteria and that could potentially become, after initial round of services provided from here, a clear target for acquisition. So the way we work is we call them the 3 daisies. I will plug them real quick. These are the 3 areas where S3K operates: security and intelligence, cybersecurity with all the connected professional services, and another area which is getting of particular interest is the protection of critical infrastructure. In each of these daisies, you have specific competencies. So you have, if you look at the critical infrastructure protection, I will give an example later on, you think about how you protect crowded places like a stadium, like airport, like a metropolitan area, how you may use unattended unmanned vehicles or drones in order to have a specific element of surveillance, using very high-end sensing techniques, which then can be collected in terms of unified data stream. Oops. I'm back. I hope you can still hear me. I think I had a connection issue. A unified data stream that we can go through our BI and BA tools in order to create dashboard and read all is happening around it. And of course, when it goes to security, biometrical recognition and all the elements which are connected to it. One element that I will touch base later on is about people are the weakest element in any security implementation. And as such, we have a specific plan that aim to raise the level of understanding about what is security, because at the end of the day, a single user can represent a single point of failure, even in the most complicated security implementation. So this is an area we need to focus on. We use a specific, we call them key enabling technologies, so AI, big data, blockchain, IoT, and all the rest. So we work over a model, and I will go quickly through this, that covers 4 layers. We start with the people, we go to the organization, we look at the technology, and of course, we include all the physical environment as well. While the traditional system integrator normally cover only 2 layers of this nice circle of competencies and elements within the security domain. This is the reason why we position ourselves as a true full service provider. Start with a consulting approach, which can provide a security assessment and all the way down to specific penetration tests, all the way down to services, which may include, for example, the ability to provide a fully managed security operating center. This is a couple of examples of how this works. So in the case of vulnerability assessment, we look at all the steps required. It goes from network mapping all the way down to the penetration testing I mentioned earlier. And if you look at the right part of the slide, you will see that on the slide and on the DAISY, which is connected to our cybersecurity activity, we switch on specific petals of each daisy based on the specific circumstances. The same applies if you look at the critical infrastructure protection. You have a pretty wide range of data that comes from the traditional analog world, so a lot of sensing. Then you have to handle this data into system capable to understand them, to make business analytics, create dashboard, create a modeling based on the specific element you're going to monitor, and as such, create a risk assessment and all the alarm which are required. And again, the number of petals that switch on in each of the DAISY becomes more significant. So all in all, the model is not a single knife that is used for everything. We design tailored solution for every single specific problem as it should be, especially when we speak about security. The model so is not just based on what we have, which is the portfolio on the left side of the screen. Yes, of course, we have a lot of products, we have a lot of competence, we have a lot of prime partnership with all the key vendors of the world, ranging from the top software player to the top hardware player. But our values start on the right side of the slide. Sitting down with the customers, understanding the specific, understand the needs, the pain points, and using then our competencies in order to tailor around it what is most appropriate for that specific point. And if not available, we have, of course, the resources to build it, to write it, to develop it inside, unless we need to do an acquisition for it. So a very efficient model which has been working already for 3 years. Our value proposition is fundamentally also based around the labs. We established activities with some of the main universities in the countries. Each university has an activity that fly around specific topics. So cyber crime in Rome, when we speak about big data and analytics, we go to Milano. Augmented reality and augmented human go down to Salerno, and so on. So a running program across the main universities of the country. And of course, the academy. Academy is an important element of our offering. And we believe that the experience learning is the most important part of it. And as such, we have a lot of activity, not only on site, but also that we offer remotely through webinars for our customers, in particular for the security. This is a quick slide that shows you the pretty vast offering we do have in terms of training. And I want to just highlight, we have, out of a model which is very efficient, created 2 tracks. One is what we call Smart Academy, which is tailored around the internal resources, and the other one that we call Institutional Academy, where we use the same methodology and tools for our customers. In summary, we are a fast-growing company, and we really see we are extremely popular in these days, working around the clock, because the security and cybersecurity domain is getting a significant and mission-critical portion of any business activity. Expanding through 4 phases, from foundation to IPO, through execution and PE investment. We have a certified revenue of about 64 million euro at the end of 2019, and we plan, as I told you, to grow post money coming from the PE at least 10x from these numbers in the next 4 to 5 years. We have already reported pretty organic growth in the last 4 years, both in terms of revenue as well as in terms of profitability, and we are preparing the ground for international expansion too. A pretty flexible, solid and reliable business model, go-to-market model, strong competencies, a unique value proposition, because we position ourselves in a place where nobody else is today operating, acting, and delivering, with a strong link established already with key university, a pretty stellar and impressive training activity ongoing, and of course, we are ready to listen and engage. And with that said, I hope I haven't made it too fast. I went through a couple of communication problems, but I closed at 12 minutes and 27 seconds. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Pietro. I think security or cybersecurity is, I think, one of the key issues that I think everybody is very careful. And nowadays, I think whole world is on virtual platform, and I think security is a very important to protect their values, their intellectual properties, and the way the things are operating right now. But thank you very much for your insight and for your company. And now I will move on to the second topic. That will be sharing insightful solution from an education point of view from Seed Arab. And this will be by Dr. Hind Kesser. Let me give you a profile. She is the founder of Seeds for Professional Development, and the online Arabic and vocational training development platform for youth and for passionate educators and professionals with 8 years of experience in policy, curriculum design in the Ministry of Education of United Arab Emirates, a doctorate degree from the University of Liverpool in the United Kingdom in studying the globalization impact on education policies and reforms, notably the pandemics. In the MENA region, Middle East, North Africa region, senior educationist, curriculum experts, and international certified assessor for NAYEC, a certified early childhood teacher having over 19 years of experience in government curriculum designing, project management based on blended learning, digitalized content evaluation, class observation, inspection, and reporting based on government and non-government standard. You can see she's a really educationist, and she's also the publisher in Science and Inquiry of Science Effectiveness, the science inquiry teaching approach on the student achievement and engagement in United Arab Emirates in public schools. So I think very impressive profile. So I will hand over to Dr. Hind for her presentation.
Hello, respected colleagues, and this is not the first time I share with you what Seeds can offer to support education for all statement. This is why I take this opportunity to focus more on what we see as blended learning. We know all that we started the COVID-19 with education, and everybody was trying very hard to give education for all the students, and all of our learning management system has transformed into closets of content, but not a blended one, not engaging as it should be. This is why I will take this opportunity to share with you our Co-Education Academy, brought all the way from the Ministry of Education of Canada, and this is the first time from 12 years you have an education commission board, a blended approach, and I would love to share with you this. I need to click next. It is aligned to our vision and mission in Seeds. We are always striving to the uniqueness of our model and the hybrid machinery of education. The future hybrid education, it goes into adding robotics, but in a pedagogical way. I will move because of the time from the video for now to give you an overview of this fully blended adaptable smart school program, where you have the standards, you have the accreditation, you have the interactive labs and not any labs, simulation that are embedded. You will get your Ministry of Education serial number. You will get the 24 hours tutoring. You will get your 150 plus courses, and all of them are accredited. And the most important is that the program is individualized for every single student, because education should be for all, even if you are online. The fully blended learning management school program, it addresses the students and the parents and the teachers and the administrators with an artificial intelligence that really guides the students all the way from the time they log in until they log out, with very simple yet effective tools. And the most important is they are ethically oriented. We are really focused on keeping the security of the student within this learning management system. The fully virtual program of the labs, this is the Labster #1 when it comes to simulation as well as security and safety. Along with the science for the biology and chemistry, we have as well the gizmos, and they target the 21st century skills. And these are the skills that are needed to have future entrepreneurs with simulation and with real problem that are from the life practice. The unique model of this hybrid learning is, as I told you, we are trying here to find solution for all of our challenges. Okay, I am now studying in a school that follows the IB curriculum or the IGCE curriculum or SE curriculum or the French BO curriculum with compétences et capacités. What I will do and how am I going to go back to my school? I cannot afford my school. I cannot afford the system, yet I want a quality assurance. So this program can adapt to every existing program by adding, removing, and doing this IEP program for the student and providing for him the most important opportunity, which is the high level of university in the world, in Canada, in the United States, in Australia, in London, in Singapore, and in Hong Kong. And we do not leave behind the education and the health unit, as well as the artificial intelligence and the project-based approach. We have did this small homework, which is aligning and trying to align the curriculum of the Ministry of Education of Canada with the current local curriculum. And we have identified that the alignment at the cycle level is 100% with some discrepancy between the sequences and the grade, which leave us into a conclusion that yes, it is true that we can really follow this program online and get the same opportunity as any other student in Canada as an opportunity for our students locally. And by the end, they will have to sit for the school literacy test, the community service, as well as part of their diploma. And as I told you, education for all. So it's not an IB only. It's not an RGCSE. It's not an O-level program. It's all of them that are really fit to the need of the student and opening for them new opportunities and affordable for all. And that's what is more important. High-level education, affordable for all, and efficient with the outcome, with a degree that is going to open new opportunities, the stamping of the Ministry of Education of Canada, and university recognitions. Me personally, I have maybe this challenge of not having another nationality. I cannot open for my kids opportunities, or even my school. I lost a lot of students in my school. I have 20% minus of my revenue this year. I can, as a school, and I can as a parent, and I can as a teacher, to really support my students coming back to education at an affordable price. And yet I'm giving them the recognition of the Australian universities, and I'm giving them recognition of the Canadian universities as well. And they will be treated as the Canadian students in Singapore as well, in the United States as well, where you can see Massachusetts is there, MIT, Stanford University, and Harvard University, where if your student is not have already the OSSD testing, he can really go for the entrance exam without a minimum requirement. So this is a good opportunity, and they will be treated like if they were really physically in Canada taking their schooling. This is a huge opportunity for the region, for every single student, and in its philosophy, it blends all the education together. You have the standard, you have the resources, you have them all. So that is for the UK as well as is for Hong Kong. And for the implementation, we all do it right now. We get the information from the school, from the student, or from the parent, and by 2 or 3 days he can join our online school and be enrolled immediately with a serial number from the Ministry of Education in Canada. An interesting opportunity, affordable for all. We can talk about it later, of course. And when it comes to cost effectiveness, you have the assessment system, you have the differentiated instruction, the real one. As an educator, I tell you, we understand always differentiated instruction as dividing the students in group, but no, it's not that. The differentiated instruction is when you, as a student, you have your own path from K to 12. This is differentiated instruction. And not in the same class. This is high level, medium level, low level. This is not the differentiated instruction. So in this program, you have what you call the IEP that usually we use only for students with specific needs. The IEP should be for all. Myself, I used to be kinesthetic. No one knew about that. When I was an educator, I discovered why I had some challenges in focus, why I had some challenges. I didn't know how to sit on my chair. But the information and the knowledge and the awareness and the research was lacking back then. This is why we are now opening new opportunities for these students to give them more opportunities to have better chances. and even they get their books online. So you are diminishing your cost per capita. You are increasing their motivation. Like I told you, equal opportunity is very important for me. Decrease the cost of professional recruitment and allocation. And I will, this is the certification that we are certified body for the Kanata Academy in the region. And I would love to share with you, and thank you very much. I'm proud to be a CEO member, because we have started to build these collaboration after our meetings, and we are having Dr. Tamer, who is a CEO member, with us with Seeds to have his own first workshop, and we're very glad. And this is why I am proud to be a CEO member. It is true that we can really open opportunities while we are collaborating, and I thank every single person who is in the admin for that. And I would like to tell you that we, Seeds, we are partnering at the biggest economic investment forum in Africa. And if you wish to join us in this kind of investment forum, it is in July 2021. We are welcome for this collaboration. And you, as my family, of course, you will have always the priority to be there. And last, we have started the ECOWAS economic situation as well in Ghana. And that's all. If you have any questions, I'm there, and for you, the mic. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Hind. I think, education is definitely very important, especially a time like this, that most of us are, confine ourselves to home or offices, cannot go outside. I think this is last 6 months has been very important for all of us to get ourselves educated from the experts, learn from other people's experience. It is very important that people understand and listen how they did the business practice, how they did and everything. I think this education or learning process, it never stops in our life. It doesn't matter what age you are and everything. I think so far we discussed two very important subjects, the cybersecurity and education. I think these are the two things, is one of the key areas. I think is currently it is important for the people to understand and so they can do their future planning and everything else. So after talking to those key subjects, and I think we now I will come to the last session, a topic which is the digital marketing, the new normal in the face of collateral financing. So the money always goes together with all those prior two sessions or topics, So this will be presented by Mr. Kafu Amaga, who is the CEO of Eclipse Microfinance Limited. He's a serial entrepreneur from Africa and has been involved in setting up and running several businesses like Eclipse Collateral Management, Business Advisory Services, CAF International School, Eclipse Microfinance Limited, and CAF Ativa Foundation, and NGO. So that's good to know that you're doing the charity work there that is used to promoting the life of a less privileged in the society. Very good cause. And he belongs to several international organizations, including CEO Club, which we appreciate, and holds his MBA in entrepreneurship. So I think we all have to learn from you a lot. So I will hand over to Mr. Kafu for your presentation, please now.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq. And then I must say I'm grateful for the opportunity, and then also to appreciate my earlier speakers who just presented on cybercrime and education. I'm here to also give a little presentation on digital marketing, the new norm, and then in the face of collateral financing. What it is that we are looking at currently what the COVID-19 pandemic has created or has caused up in the business landscape, and then how businesses would have to recover out of the situation and then be able to come out of these economic crises and then be able to also change the face of marketing and then making sure that we are also coping with the new consumer habit. That also to say, if you look at the digital marketing platform or stream, you would realize that the way you advertise, the way you do your branding, your social media, your content, the product itself also has to be something that you need to aggressively look up into so that you'll be able to meet the specific needs of customers. As we move along, I'll also try to bring into play what we basically do as a collateral management and an advisory company, and how collateral financing is also fitting well in our part of the globe, especially Africa and Ghana in specific. What we are also trying to also look out for is that we know that the entire world has been affected by the coronavirus outbreak, and that one is a fact. And therefore, along with impacting human life, and this is also a pandemic that has also created a lot of business opportunities for us to look up into. So now we are saying it has become a challenge for most marketers to manage the crisis and also in the same time plan for the future. In doing all these things, industries are also affected, because if you are producing and then yours is a physical product, it means that you need to be able to get your customers to be around your product and then to be also able to ensure that you are keeping up with your sales. Otherwise, you realize that most businesses are dropping up in sales, and then because of the COVID, they are leaving their market space for others who are advanced in marketing, also digitally, to be able to take over their customers. We have said that this also is a critical situation and also quite complex for most businesses, but we should be able to move out of that zone and then to look at how to bring our business into a proper play. What we are also trying to also say that because of the COVID-19 situation, it has brought about some behavioral shift. And the behavioral shift is a situation where you have most of your customers now at home. Like me, for instance, you can see I'm doing the presentation from the house. It's not because I don't have to go to, I have to be at the office, but you look at the behavioral shift of customers, and it pushes most of these customers to search online for some of the product and then to see what online services that they can get to enhance most of their businesses. And this is what we are saying. Businesses also have to now concentrate and then be able to move on into the situation, because customers are trying to shop online and to see effectively where they'll be able to come up to. So you look at the situation, and then it is also trying to tell us how do we prepare a marketing activity during this crisis moment. And then we have come up with a few pointers to the issues. We are trying to say you got to be smart, and then to be able to look at how you are going to face this digital world, and then how you are going to also reach up to your customers also on this situation. You also have to be social, and then it is also essential to keep in touch with your customers, not to lose them. So where they are is where you need to find yourself and be, so that you'll be able to also understand how you'll be able to retain most of your customers and even to acquire new ones, because they are on there searching, and it has to be visible. Your product line has to be visible, whether a service or whether it's a product line. It has to be visible online, that people can search out and say and be able to see your product, because what we are trying to say is that out of sight is out of mind. So when people cannot search for your product and then they cannot feel for it, and then it means that automatically you'll be wiping out of business. But what we are trying to say is that we need to take the opportunity now as businesses and then be able to ensure that we do a lot of visibility online, so that when people go on the Google search engine, you can best pop up for them to be able to know, so that our competitors don't take our product or our services from us. What we are also trying to say is that you need to be focused on whatever you are doing, and then you have to redirect your focus also very much towards your customers, because now most of them are online and the cost there is also relatively a bit cheaper. So the opportunity for us to be able to take advantage of, and then you got to be very strategic. You also have to be very intelligent upon the issues, so that at least you can be able to know what your customers want and then be able to move up on the issues. What we are trying to say is that if you look at the collateral financing space, we at Eclipse Collateral Management, basically what we have tried to look out for is that we have seen, especially in the real estate industry, and in the real estate industry, people have their collaterals, or they have their properties, they have their documents, which is registered with the registered authorities, especially for the Lands Commission and all those things. In Ghana, we say is the Lands Commission that will have to register you to perfect that this property is rather perfected into your name. Once these things are done, you realize that there's a gap in the financing space. People who have the surety asset now have their documents, but their document is also now being put out there. It's being put out there in the space where automatically what is happening more or less is much that they don't earn anything at the back of it. But we are able to link these people also to businesses who have businesses, and then at the end of the day, their businesses are such that they are not able to get collaterals to be able to support. So we are able to link these people, and then they are able to get collateral assets to be able to support their businesses and then move forward up on the issues. These are some of the things that we are looking at the collateral space to see. In conclusion, what we are trying to say is that the economy seems to be crashing, and therefore competitors needs to, if you are not being competitive enough, then you realize that your business is gradually going into hibernation, and therefore the need for you to step up. Marketers will also have to understand that this is an opportunity that we need to take, especially in the digital space, and then be able to communicate well of our product, and then be able to come up with it. And then you also need to develop the skills to be able to be up there and then forward. So it is good. We need to advance ahead of time so that we'll be able to get it up. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Kofi. I think very interesting. I think digital marketing is definitely very important, and financing definitely plays a key role into that. Let me ask you. I mean, you are in Ghana and in Africa. How does the market in Africa in current days right now?
Currently, Doc, what it is that you realize that in Africa, especially in Ghana, we have not been so much overwhelmed with the pandemic. So you see normal business activities, but then people are also very wary of the fact that this disease is still hanging around. So people are rather now moving on to the online space and not online marketing. Africa has been an emerging market where you have ensured that business is being expanded. Like the earlier presenter rightly said, cybercrime is of a concern here because most of the youth are now degrading into those areas, and then it is affecting huge businesses, and it's making digital online market quite difficult because people are now abusing the situation, using the internet to really swindle a lot of people, so people are quite cautious. Now you could also see that most people are also trying to advance their knowledge, especially I have some working relationship with Dr. Tama, and then to see how we'll be able to give, especially what my sister rightly said, to be able to see how best we'll be able to do what we call strategic consultancy services for clients that would hitherto not be there in person to be able to undertake this. So there's a lot of space around for marketing and then for businesses to be able to thrive. So I'm happy to hear my sister say that they are coming to Ghana, and then especially in Accra, where there's going to be some conferences. And of course, I'll be part in the as an ambassador for CEO Club to see how we'll be able to push businesses, and then to give him a resting place in Ghana to ensure that his business have a foothold in Ghana to establish.
I see. Okay, no, thank you very much. You mentioned a very key word, cybercrime, So now I want to move into Mr. Pietro, I mean, cybersecurity, how important that is in the current environment. As you know, Africa have its own issues, EU have its own issue. You're sitting in Italy and Asia and the Western world, what advice would you give to the people in the current to secure themselves and protect themselves?
Well, the first advice goes down to education. It really goes down to make the effort to really make an assessment about how much you know, how much you use, and what do you need to know in order to protect yourself. We were just listening earlier Mr. Kafui keep talking about going digital, being online. We are having conversation with hospitals. We have the challenge to protect from security attack all the electromedical equipment used in order to treat patients. And so there is a convergence between the traditional IT and the OT side, where you need the mission critical equipment to be always on, 24/24. So an assessment is the first step to be done, and an educational effort is the first thing to be done. As a matter of fact, this is one of our key pillar in the offering that truly help companies to have a clear understanding about where they are compared to where they should be in order to be safe. And this is a constant process. With that said, if you think about how many data are already on the cloud, and I'm not kidding you, the number of conversations about, if you want to see your data again, these are the amount of money you need to pay me. It's crazy. So it is a fast-growing market, which Gartner expect to grow at least 12 double-digit year-over-year, and we think we are extremely well positioned to capitalize on this by helping customers for a very safe and secure environment.
Yes, yeah, I think you mentioned very key things in healthcare. Telemedicine, I think is very important nowadays. They're widely used now all over the world. The treatment experts are sitting different part of the world and they're treating a patient any other part of the world and everything else. And I think, but it's all related to the security. How secure that is the system is. It is very important. And you say you also say the keyword education. So I want to go back to Dr. Hind. Since we talked about education and security and all those things, how do you feel in the current environment? What kind of education that a business community require at this stage?
I guess that after the COVID, we have identified that the education that we need all to have is the employability skills that are needed, as well as on our entrepreneurship skills. We have been preparing our students to be ready for the job market. After the COVID, we have realized that there is no jobs in the market that will remain. New jobs are there, new needs are there. So now what we are going through the new education is education for the common good. Why education for the common good? Means an education that will support the students to create their own opportunities. And this is why we are now hammering the fact that go into entrepreneurship skills, employability skills, go into creating your small business and medium enterprises, and try to enhance the idea of having a STEM education. This kind of let us say, perspective of seeing education as not a part of your life, but a long life learning that comes along practices. This is what we need now in the education.
Yes, yeah. I think, I think our businesses, I think in especially small business and medium size, they all have to go back to the drawing board, that how they have to conduct their business in the future and how they have to react on the current situation and everything else, But that brings him to the financial part of it, Mr. Coffey, that how do you think the financial sector is coping with this current crisis and how willing they are to cooperate with the SMEs and startups companies which are having a tough time right now?
Indeed, Doc, the financial space has still not come out of the shocks of this pandemic, because what it is that except those who have been able to move on and then can show relative profit in the field of probably doing the digital marketing, the physical contact, like the small businesses who are rather into products and manufacturing, find it difficult to be able to get financing from the banks because they realize that industry, that side is going down. So it has also made finances quite tighter. And therefore you realize that collateral financing in a part of the and the continent is becoming a key thing, because if the banks still need to go ahead and take up that rate, then they think that they need to dilute their risk. So what becomes a surety asset for us to be able to use in diluting the risk? And therefore, that assuming you default in payment and there is a non-payment, we could fall on that to be able to recoup our losses. This is where most businesses are lacking, because if it's an MSLE, a small business company, they will not have the collateral access to be able to underwrite these loan facilities. So the need for that arm to also be able to kickstart to ensure that businesses are being pushed up there to get a lot of funds to be able to do. Now, currently, especially in Ghana, all schools are closed down. So if you have a brick and mortar school now, it means that you're out of business. You're out of business because now students are not allowed to go to school so that you can get income. So now people are now doing what we call the online learning, where parents have to sit at home. Now, it's also becoming a challenge, because if it is kids in the early childhood stage, it means that the parent needs to find somebody to be around with a digital tool to allow the child or the daughter to be able to learn on. So you'd realize that schools in this capacity would not qualify for any funding from the banks. And if it's a private school, it means that you cannot even pay your teachers. So this is the challenge that is coming. This COVID indeed has brought a lot of challenges, but it is for people who are smarter and who can take advantage of the situation to be able to move on. Because, you know, as an entrepreneur, you only have to look at where there is problem money. If you are not able to provide solutions, then it means automatically you're out of business.
Yeah, no, you're right, you know, and I think, yeah, you know, see, you're talking about the liquidity and all these is been a major crisis right now. But, you know, challenges is always makes you good. You know, when you face a challenge, you know, you improve yourself, you find a new idea, you be more innovative. And this is the time is very important that all of us, it doesn't matter which industry you belong to, which level of business you have, you know, you have to be very innovative. And definitely you have to use this current technology tools that is available all over the world. Now, you know, normally people work in their own country for the target market, but now with these tools and digitally, you can go all over the world is open to you. And so we have to create new markets. You know, I think there are businesses that growing. Yes, there are businesses that are going through tough time, but I hope it's temporary. Every country have their own economy issues, but the businesses have to keep on moving. And you mentioned very key thing that the schools doing online training and people's schools are shutting down in Africa. Let me ask Dr. Hind, you know, how you feel that if you're doing student in online training and a physical training, how effective is online training is? Do you think it's as effective it is, or is better that they are learning in their own environment and they are better student?
Sure. Okay, sure. Sorry.
I do believe that Mr. Kafu has raised a very interesting point, which is the social emotional approach. Teaching, of course, the students when they are at an early year, they need a lot of the social interaction. They need a lot of peers. They learn with peer interactions. They need other students to say hi, to learn the language, to even learn the cursive. These are skills that you need them at an early age. And now you know how to write. You don't see it a challenge. But if you want to write when you are an old or an adult, it's very difficult to take the pen. So these skills, motor skills, of course, the online and digital learning will not going to provide it unless there is a parent support. And here I come back to the fact that education has never been only the job of a teacher and a school. It is a partnership between the social community, which is a parent, a teacher, a school. When we went through the 21st century, the 22nd century, the parents they resigned from their job being a parent. They went into only the job, the career development, and they think now that I'm sending my child to the school. Is he K? Is he 12? Is he in university? It's the same concept for them. He is busy. But they forgot that schooling is something, education is another thing. Education means the whole system, the whole society, parents, students, teachers, principals, the community. But schooling, this is what we have lost in COVID, the schooling. We're not going to school, but education is still there. It's not only managed by the teacher now, it's managed by the whole society, with the parents and the teacher. That's my point of view again. And according to research, you can go and see that the COVID has, on the contrary, resolved some issues for students who were hyperactive, students who are really genius, students who didn't understand because the teacher was so fast. So there's a lot of positive points out of the COVID, and there are some challenges which I see only in the early years. And I do believe that the early years, yes, they need always to be in contact with their teacher, with their peers, because this is how their learning is done.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Let me ask the last question, Mr. Petro, that how effective the cybersecurity strategy in addressing a business risk in the environment right now?
Well, so far it must be, right? You have no room for mistakes. The NIS legislation foresee activities into 12 different sectors. So we spoke about health and life science, but of course we spoke about finance, we spoke about industry, we speak about manufacturing, industrial. So there is, as I said, a key need that has to be addressed in order to prevent major consequences to happen. Part of the problem, and this is interesting for me, conversation goes back, and I want to insist on this on the educational side, because especially when you go into business and you start to make your own career, you go up on the ladder, people think that education and training is fundamentally a waste of time, and it's not. I believe that education is a fundamental pillar of everyone's journey. And by chance, and probably not by chance, in the slide I have presented about our academy, I was using as a title that training, in this case education, is a fundamental and strategic element for people with the right attitude. Because if you don't learn, you will end up having problems. And this is a never-ending process, at least to me. I really believe life is made by learning every single day, anything you can. And in the security space, now more than ever, this become critical, crucial. We just saw it earlier. The news of 2 weeks ago, people can die if something goes wrong on the security front.
That's true. That's true. I think now we're coming to end. So I just like the closing remarks from Dr. Hind first for a minute, just your closing remarks for today's session.
I believe that education, like we all share today, is a lifelong learning. And education, for me, it defies all the challenges, and there's nothing can stop us from learning and adapting and growing and being constructive, and by the end, serve each other as one community.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Petro, your closing remarks, please.
I just want to follow up what Dr. Kassir just said. When it goes down to education on the cybersecurity space, we will be delighted to engage with a platform which is actually designed to be a gaming kind, so very high attach rate that can help people to make an assessment on where they are versus where they could be, and that could be the beginning of a very long, mutually beneficial relationship.
Okay, thank you. As you all know, CEO Club will always be arranging different topics webinar with experts, and we also have a new CEO Club corporate initiative for international business community for better business connections and more focus on B2B meetings to grow their business worldwide in this current situation, And I think, today's webinar, I think we talked about all the key areas. We talked about security, cybersecurity, very important. education, that we have to be educated. That doesn't matter is for the kids or for the businesses, executives and senior executive, you have to be educated. And we talk about the financing, that we require some financing, and digital marketing is very important to get your message across all over the world, that how it's doing it, So I hope we all learned something from today's webinar. I'd like to thank all the presenters, Mr. Kafo, Mr. Pietro, Dr. Hind, and most of all the participants for their valuable time to joining us today, and stay tuned for the next webinar soon. But I like to say one thing, that stay healthy and be safe wherever you are, and have a nice day. And I like to thank again for all the speakers and the participants, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.